Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to welcome you here this morning to our Veterans Memorial. We've talked a little bit about the weather this morning. We believe this day is just probably about perfect, even perfect. It's probably the nicest day as we could have to do this special ceremony. Just a year ago, we had COVID-19 going on. We did put a wreath on the memorial, but that was the extent of our Memorial Day service a year ago. So it feels really good. I know I feel good. I think you all feel good that we're out and able to be together. And the sun's shining. It's a beautiful day. We'd like to welcome members of our staff that are here today. We've got Rich Taylor behind us. He's actually going to video this program, and we'll put it on. It isn't going to be live, but we're going to do a little work on it this week, and you'll be able to look at that on the website if you choose. It'll be there. So Rich is here. We've got members of our fire department, our police department. We welcome them. We also have our Mayor Pro Tem, Brent Mitchell, council member, is with us here also. I don't see any other council members here. I don't see you. As we begin, we'd like to take a moment of silence. As we take a moment of silence this morning, we'd like to pause to remember those who have served and those who are now serving in the defense of this great nation. May we especially remember those wounded, those still missing in action, and those who have given their lives in the defense of our many freedoms. May we also remember this day the families and loved ones, those who have lost their life, those who have lost their lives while serving. Let's take a moment of silence. Thank you very much. Would you please rise for the posting of the colors?
so happy we hailed, and the twilight's last gleam, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, and bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Our national anthem this morning was sung by Rebecca Cray and her two daughters, Evie and Bree. Sung with us before, sung the national anthem before. She was married a year ago. I'd like to congratulate Bree Holmgren now. And congratulate you, Bree, on your marriage last year. Our color guard was provided by the Utah Military Academy that's located here in Riverdale. We appreciate them very much and for their service here today. I read a note in the Standard Examiner last Friday that I thought was interesting, and it talks about the flag on Memorial Day. And it's I've never heard this before, but it says on Memorial Day, the flag of the United States is raised briskly to the top of the staff and then solemnly lowered to the half-staff position where it remains only until noon. It is then raised to full staff for the remainder of the day. The half-staff position remembers the more than 1 million men and women who gave their lives in service of their country. At noon, their memory is raised by the living, who resolve not to let their sacrifice be in vain, but to rise up in their stead and continue to fight for liberty and justice for all. Thought that was really interesting. I wanted to share that with you this morning. I'd like to thank also Master Sergeant Dave Leahy, retired Air Force, with us. He did the programs. He did the thank you cards. If you look at your program, those are all done. Every time he makes a program, he starts from scratch. They're always something new and always very tasteful. As we pay tribute to those who have died, and also on Veterans Day or Veterans. I'd like you also to look around today. Our Veterans Memorial, the grounds here at the front of the city office has all been redone. Been a lot of things done. The concrete's all been replaced within the last couple of years. All the old bushes have been removed. Decorative rock and plants have been put in. It's just a beautiful setting for our Veterans Memorial. We thank those who have taken part and done that. We'd also like to thank Gibby Floral for this beautiful floral arrangement, this wreath that's here. before you that will be placed on the memorial at the end of our program. Gibby's does it each year for us. They have it here early and delivered it. We appreciate their service. Special thanks to our dedicated bugler, Jim Simone. He lives here in Riverdale. He's always here for our Memorial Day and Veterans Day services. I was just telling him, in the last 8 years, I don't think he's ever missed an opportunity to be here. He's been here every time, to the best of my knowledge, but we appreciate him. Memorial Day is a day set aside each year to honor the men and women who have died while serving in the United States Armed Forces, and should not be confused with Veterans Day, which is a day set aside to celebrate the service of all U.S. military veterans. As many of you remember, Memorial Day was formerly known as Decoration Day. It originated following the Civil War to honor the Union and Confederate soldiers who died during that war. The practice of decorating soldiers' graves with flowers is an ancient custom. Soldiers' graves were decorated in the U.S. before, during, and after the American Civil War. We now honor on Memorial Day all Americans who have died during military service. Let us also honor and remember their families and loved ones who were left behind suffering with grief and heartache. I'd like to share with you the stories of 3 families who lost their loved ones while they were serving. First, I'd like to speak briefly about 2 brothers, Murray Kimball Jacobs and John Gray Jacobs. They're both from Riverdale. They have tiles here on the North Memorial. Both of them were killed in action in World War II. We have talked about them before briefly. Murray was born on June 7, 1917 in Utah. His father was a farmer and died when Murray was 12 years old. After his death, his widow, Mrs. Charlotte Jacobs Riverdale, continued to run the family farm. Murray had 3 older sisters and 3 younger brothers. All 4 of the Jacobs brothers served in the Army during World War II. He enlisted in the Army February of 1941. At some point, he transferred to the Army Air Corps and successfully completed pilot training. He became a first lieutenant in the 4th Ferrying Group, India-China Wing, flying Curtiss C-46 Commando Transport Plane. He was stationed in India. On May 27, 1944, Lieutenant Jacobs flew the plane nicknamed Line of Duty on his final mission. It took off from Chittagong in what is now Bangladesh on a planned 200-mile flight to Imphal, India. There was a crew of 3 along with 4 passengers. The plane never arrived. He was reported missing in action. His status was changed to action, and his body was never found. Sorry if I get a little emotional. I've been really good practice in this. First Lieutenant Murray Kimball Jacobs died. Murray Kimball Jacobs Jr. died at the young age of 27. Lieutenant Jacobs' younger brother, John, who was 7 years younger, was serving as a private in the 42nd Infantry Division in Europe at the time. He was killed in action near Strasbourg, France. on January 6, 1945, and is buried in the Epinal American Cemetery in Epinal, France. He was 20 years old when he died. I saw a news clipping that told of a memorial service that was held here in Riverdale following the two brothers' deaths. It would be hard to imagine the grief and heartache of the widowed mother following the loss of two of her sons, knowing that the other two sons were still serving in the war. I also learned that Private First Class Jacobs, who was killed in France, was survived by a young wife, the former Faye Sessions, who I'm sure was also devastated with grief and a broken heart. Second, I'd like to share a few comments with you about another family who recently dealt with and is still dealing with the loss of a loved one. I'm sure most of you are aware of the death of Major Brent Taylor of North Ogden about 2.5 years ago. Major Taylor was a member of the Utah National Guard and was serving as mayor of North Ogden when he stepped down temporarily to serve a 1-year tour of duty in Afghanistan. Brent and I were both elected to mayoral positions some 8 years ago and became good friends and worked together on some committees. We also went to the state capitol one time and lobbied the legislature on some transportation issues affecting ours and other Utah cities. Being a retired military guy, I was surprised to learn that Brent had been called to serve in Afghanistan and would be leaving. His wife Jenny and their 7 young children, the youngest, and infant to serve another tour. Brent had served previous tours in Afghanistan, and I'm sure Brent and Jenny felt that their prayers and the prayers of others in store would go okay as had the previous tours. Then came the news not long before Brent was to return home that he had been shot and killed by an Afghan Special Forces trainee. I'm sure that Jenny and her family were devastated by the news. Many of us in Utah were in a state of shock. Had this really happened? Brent's body was returned home and his funeral was planned. I attended Brent's funeral at the D Event Center. As mayor, I had special seating with other officials and military members. This was on the main floor where his funeral would be conducted. We all stood as Brent's casket was brought in and rolled across the floor. The casket passed by where we were standing. Walking behind Brent's flag-draped casket was Jenny and her children. I will never ever forget the looks on their faces. I had another experience this past week. It happened last Wednesday with a family losing a loved one who was away serving his country. This one also hit pretty close to home for me. I was doing some family history research after finding a picture of my father's family. The picture is displayed here on the easel. The photo was taken at Grassy Lake, Alberta, Canada in 1916. Sorry the picture isn't bigger. I had a small picture and I had that blown up, but it's still hard to see. I My father's parents had been to Alberta, Canada from Dry Fork, Utah in the early 1800s to grow wheat as requested by the Utah church leaders. My father is the youngest of 11 children, and at the age of 3 is sitting on his mother's lap in the photo. The top left of the photograph is his older brother Barney, my uncle in the Canadian Army uniform. This picture is most likely the last one taken with his family. I knew that my uncle Barney had served in World War I, but always believed he died after returning to Canada. I found while doing the research, Barney was killed in France in 1917. At the age of 18, he was buried in a cemetery in France. I actually found pictures of the cemetery and his grave marker on the internet. Finding this out 104 years after he was killed has had quite an effect on me. I have thought about his death many times each day, and have felt an emptiness knowing how, where, and when he died. I can only imagine the devastation and heartbreak of his Canadian family after receiving word that he was killed in action. I will end with a quote from Rob O'Neill, the Navy SEAL who killed Osama bin Laden. He said concerning Memorial Day, "This holiday is a time to think of young lives cut short, of wives and husbands turned to widows and widowers, of children growing up without a father or mother, of parents burying children." As we celebrate Memorial Day today, may we remember not only those who have died defending our many freedoms, but also their families and loved ones who were left behind. Thank you. We will now place the wreath on the memorial. Pass to our military cadets to get up for us, and they would place it. We'd like to ask you to stand while this takes place. Thank you. This concludes our program this morning. Hope you have a safe Memorial Day, and thanks for being with us. Thank you.